Shall we go back to the East?
Yeah. Why don't you kick us off for this one this time?
Sure. This is gonna hurt. I hate starting off this way. Um, let me see if I can convince myself not to do it. No, I can't do it. At 15, I'm putting Chicago, my boys. Um, I got Montreal at 14. I got New York City at 13. I got Columbus at 12, Miami at 11, Atlanta at 10, DC United at 9, Charlotte at 8. Then in the playoffs, I got New England at 7, Toronto at 6, FC Cincinnati at 5, Nashville at 4, Philly at 3, Red Bull at 2, and Orlando at 1.
You're out of your mind. You put Red Bull above Philly? Are
You're
you
dang right I
insane?
did. This is the year, baby.
Good Lord. You criticized me for putting San Jose sixth.
Uh,
um, all right. Let me know when you're ready and I'll read off mine.
I'm ready, baby.
All right. I got Chicago at 15. I've got Montreal at 14. I've
Nice.
got DC at 13. I've got Charlotte at 12, NYC at 11, Atlanta at 10, Columbus at 9, Miami at 8, New England at 7, Red Bull at 6, Nashville at 5, FCC at 4, Toronto at 3, Orlando at 2, and Philly at 1.
That's not nearly as far off as you made it sound.
I
I thought
didn't
you
did
were
I insinuate that we were far off? I didn't think we were that far off, honestly. We have a couple
you
that are
made
different, but
you made me feel like I was dumb, which I
well,
never
you're
do.
you're
Which I
insane for
never
putting
do to
Red
you.
Bull. You're insane for putting Philly at third. Like
I
I think you're
never, ever,
absolutely
ever
insane for
have made you feel dumb on this podcast.
that.
And
Yeah,
you
never, never. Just
never,
just don't cut
never,
back to
not
15
once
minutes
ever.
ago.
And you
Don't
came out and
don't
did
cut
that
back to
to me.
15 minutes ago.
Oh man. Um, so we're bang on for 1 and 2. Great. Um, the first big change I think is you've got DC at 13. I've got them at 9. I know that
I
we
think we
have
knew we were going to
disagreed.
differentiate on this one. Yeah.
We've disagreed on this, and
Yeah.
I think that they will find their form late, but I think they find it. Um, so here's my other thing too, by the way. And it didn't affect your predictions, but when I was watching back the clips from the episode where we talked about all the transfers, and you were sitting there talking about how much you loved the signing of Ashley Westwood, and then the very next episode you came back and was like, "Oh, I don't know if Matthias Klick will do the job." Two of the same players from the same league in the same position, and you just didn't like one because they play for DC. Hater, which I'm okay with. Hate DC all you want, but like, don't do that. Don't be like. Um, I don't think they're getting in the playoffs. I agree with you in that sense, but I think they have a better year. Like, I think they make a bigger jump than just a couple of spots up the standings. I think this is uh going to be a pretty. I think it's gonna be a fun team to watch personally. Curious as to some of the ways that they'll line up, but I think they'll be a fun team to watch.
Yeah. I mean, I think I made this clear in the transfer video that I really do not like the way that Rooney built this team. I I don't understand it. He brought in a bunch of players that are win now, and I don't think he brought in the quality of players to make this a win now competitive team. I mean, like Click's wrong side of 30, Santos is wrong side of 30. Pretty sure Williams is like almost 30. Tyler Miller's, I think, pretty close to 30. Ruan's 27, but he's coming off a bad year. The only signing that I liked was Mahana G's. Um, but yeah, I didn't like the signings that he brought in. I obviously this team was the worst team in the league, I think, last year. I'm pretty sure. So I don't see them moving up much. I think they had a couple of good signings, so I think they'll move up a little. But yeah, I don't like the way that Rooney has built this team. Maybe listen, maybe it works for his system and how he wants to play, and I will absolutely eat my words on it if he ends up doing well with the players he brought in. But I'm not a fan of it on paper.
Interesting. Talk to me about them. Why you put Charlotte so low after talking about really enjoying their signing of Ashley Westwood.
Listen, I went off of the ratings that I saw him getting when he was playing with Burnley, and they were playing like for years in the Prem. I think Click had, I don't know his whole history, but I think it was 2 years in the Prem. So I don't think he had as much of a sample size, and Click wasn't really playing a ton when before he moved. But I honestly, I think they obviously Capetti is a fantastic signing for them, and I think he'll be able to slide in and make a big difference for them. And I like the addition of Westwood. Obviously, the injury is a question mark. I just don't love the team around them. Um, I'm glad that they're willing to kind of move on from players from year one and not get stuck in the FCC loop. But I look at a couple of guys that I have in my starting lineup, and I'm not overly wowed. Like I'm not overly wowed with Brant Bronico or Nathan Byrne or Joseph Mora. So I'm not really sure how much they're bringing to the table. Like I think I didn't hear much about Juzwiak last season, much. And obviously, like I think we have high expectations for Capetti, but we haven't seen him play a minute in the league yet. So I think I'm not super high on them. I think they'll kind of sit around the same area that they were last year.
Interesting. I think this is a team that's going to push for the playoffs. I don't think they're getting in personally, um, strictly because of the difficulties that will be caused by formational shape. They've got two very good strikers. They want to play with wings. They've got deep midfield. You're going to have to sit some good players, and because of that, I don't. I think they're going to have too many games. Let me rephrase that. They're going to have just one too many games where they're going to get it wrong and they're going to lose points because of it. That'll keep them out. However, I do think they're making a step in the right direction. Now, the one thing that I would concede about maybe dropping this down a little bit is how bad that Corujo injury is, how long he'll be out, because he was massive for them last year, as well as a Kalina injury. Both of those guys are a big part of their team last year, and I didn't see how long they were going to be out. So I definitely could see this team finishing where you have them, and I will agree with you there. I just don't know if those injuries are not super long term. I think we'll be okay. But
I
uh,
mean, ninth to 12th in the West, just to give some context, was separated by 3 points last year. So it is very easy to move like 4 spots with like one game.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that could be the difference of one game. Absolutely. Um, Next up, Miami. I had them deep down at 11. You had them up at 8. Talk to me.
Yeah. I mean, I think you know that I'm higher on Miami than I think you are. I just really like the way that they're building this team. And maybe it's because they set the bar so low at the start because they built this like a 2015 MLS team at the start, just going to find some big name 35-year-old player to bring into the team to just jog around the field for 90 minutes, or not even 90, probably like 60 minutes, and then get subbed off and make $1 million+ a year. But I really like the way that they've kind of turned things around. They have a really blossoming good youth academy. I think they're getting a lot of good young players to come through. It's just a matter of, them kind of working their way into the rotation now. I liked the signings that they brought in this offseason. I think they brought in a lot of good players that have a few years ahead of them. They're not on their way to retirement. Guys that can come in and make a difference now, like Josef, like Stefanelli, like Kristav and Franco Negri. So I think this team is absolutely moving in the right direction. They were a playoff team last year. I just think that other teams got a little bit stronger that were around them. So that's kind of why I have them like slightly lower. But I think this team is absolutely moving in the right direction. And I think will be, if they can keep their personnel around, I think they'll be competitive for couple years moving forward if they keep moving in this right direction.
I gotta be honest with you. I think one of the things that gets me is it's a little thin at key areas in the way that I have them line up. There's no backup 10. There's no backup uh, number 8, one of the three number 8s that they have there. Their center backs are a little bit untested. Mabika only has a couple of games to his fix my hair there. Couple of games to his career. Um, Kristov is going to come in and be okay. Yedlin will be okay. Negri needs to learn the league. You could probably have McVeigh in there as well. Um, I don't know. I don't know what the Martinez and Campagna partnership is going to look like. I mean, we talked about it last episode where um, they're both really used to being one striker guys. I mean, Campagna's played two striker a little bit more frequently, but how will they get on together? That's the big question. And uh, yeah, another one that just kind of doesn't give me the good warm fuzzy.
Oh, sure. But when a team doesn't give me the warm, good fuzzy, then all of a sudden I'm an idiot.
Correct, but we knew that already. Let's talk about Columbus. I got him at 12. You got him at 9. I'll say for me, don't love their center back situation. I've never been a Josh Williams fan, not once since I've started watching this league. Um, they're young at left back with Will Sands. Aiden Morris will be good. Nagby will be good. Zelarayan will be good. Their wing position is dreadful, to keep it simple. Um, None of their wingers have shown up and been the guy except for Kevin Molino 4 years ago before he got hurt. And that's an exaggeration. I know it wasn't 4 years ago, but you know what I mean. Yeah, there's a lot of this team I don't like. Dejanek was not the center back I thought he'd be when he came in, and I don't know if it was just the first year jitters or what have you. Um, and the guys to replace them are homegrowns. They're also untested. So that center back problem, and when you got bad center backs in this league, you got a bad team. Now, I'm not saying Dejanek and Williams are bad, but I'm not a big fan of them. And then, yeah, like I said, the wingers, you've got Yayaboa, who was their best of a bad group last year. You let go of Derek Etienne Jr., never really replaced him. You got 20-year-old Matan. Kevin Molino coming back, never really got going after that injury. Diaz is out there, and then another homegrown. So you're not surrounding your best players with more best players, so I'm kind of worried. There has been rumors that they'll shift to a 3-5-2, throw Morera as a center back, Sands advanced, and maybe Yaboa or Diaz advanced with the same midfield three, and then go Cucho Ramirez. I don't think that's getting the best of their players. I think Morera needs to be wide so he can get touches in the attacking third. Um, just a lot here that I'm not a fan of.
No, I hear you. That's the reason I think I have them out of the playoffs as well. That
Mm-hmm.
defense is not looking great, especially when you lost Jonathan Mensah this close to the start of the season. I don't I mean I'm sure Columbus fans probably have more context on that one, but I don't get it. Um, but I just feel like their star power is strong enough that it can carry them into a playoff fight. I mean, I think Cucho has the potential to be Golden Boot winner. We know Zelarayan has the potential to be an MVP in this league. I think there are other guys in this team as well that can support them. Obviously, Nagby's one of the best midfielders in this league. Aiden Morse has massive potential and can be a fantastic partner for Nagby this season. Steven Moreira is a fantastic fullback as well. Eloy Room, we've seen him be a very good goalkeeper in this league as well. So I think there are good players. There are weak positions as well. And I think that balance is what in my opinion, keeps them around the playoff hunt, but out of the playoffs.
No disagreement. I mean, some disagreements, but they're in the same spot for both of us out. So
Yeah, did
we
we have
move
the
on.
same playoff teams? Did we have the exact same seven?
I
Not the
think
order, but
so.
the same
Yeah, I
teams.
think I think so. The only real difference we both had New England in, both had Toronto, both had Red Bull, both had FCC, Philly, Nashville, Orlando. Yeah. So
Go
let's just
team.
talk about some of the main differences here. I put Red Bull at 2. You put him low. Why? Why are you a hater?
um, the defense, I feel like I have a little bit of question marks on. I don't. I'm not a huge Andres Reyes guy, and especially with his like disciplinary record, you could see him out. I mean, 2, 3 games easily from red cards, and the next man up is either like Hassan and Dom, who has very little experience, or Matthew Masita, who I know you talked about before, is like a behemoth 6'7" center back, but again, also untested in the league. And then Kyle Duncan, who you could probably speak on it more than I can, but I feel like he was not the same Kyle Duncan when he came back. I think the attack will be good. Obviously, Lewis Morgan was a fantastic addition. Christian Cáceres, I think, will be another strong year from him. Hopefully, Luquinhas really like settles in this season, and then obviously Dante is a big signing up top, and we'll see what he can bring to the table. I definitely think it's a playoff team. I think they could even move up past 6, but I have a little bit of question marks in the back line, and then I also don't love Drew Yearwood that's in the midfield spot. I mean, that's who I have starting. Obviously, you could swap him out for like Frankie Amaya, but um, yeah, I just think it's competitive with the other teams that are in the playoffs in the East, and I think those like small things there just drop them a little bit more for me.
Yeah, listen, this is I actually at first I had him at the top, and I'm like, I can't jinx us like that, so I'm gonna flip flop it. But I think what's gonna save Nealis and Reyes, and I agree with you. I think they're not the strongest that we've ever had. One Coronel behind them is gonna be great, but Dan Edelman's about to have a breakout year. You can flop Yearwood for Amaya or Caceres, and zero drop off. I like Yearwood in there too, by the way. He makes a wrong decision a little bit more often than I'd like, but he'll be fine. Again, Lewis Morgan, Luquinhas up top, but you've also got this idea that you can play Serge Goma playing at the on the right side. I mean, he was phenomenal in a very small window last year and got hurt. If he can stay healthy, he'll be great. The year of Omir, of course, is still in the mix, and we know Gerard loves him as a second striker. I mean, there are a bunch of different ways this team can line up. John Tolkien's still going to be all over the pitch. And then you've got 3 brand new strikers, all 3 of which were improvements over what we had last year. So it is a team that has a ton of promise with a coach that knows what he's doing. Kyle Duncan is going to be better this year. He came in after not playing a game for like 4 months and just got thrown into a starting 11. So you're obviously not going to be great when you do that. He had a full preseason to get this done and to work with it. I think he will be much, much better than what he was last year. Nealis is going to be okay. Reyes is, I think, making strides to be better than he was. I've got high hopes, and I think I'm doing this so that I can like hate myself later because I've every year I've put them out of the playoffs and they've made it. So now I put them in second, they'll finish in 10th, right?
I'm here for it.
The other big one, Toronto for you at 3. Uh, why?
Yeah, I almost had Toronto at 2, honestly. Um, I don't think it's that far of a shout to figure out why. I mean, their attack alone is good enough to put them in 3, let alone arguably a 1. Lorenzo Insigne and Bernadeschi came in last season in a small sample size and tore it up while they were here. Now they have a whole offseason to build chemistry with the team. They got a little bit of a taste of how the league plays, what works well, what doesn't. I think those two are going to tear up the league this year. So I think that will carry them a lot. While I think the defense kind of works out their kinks and starts to build good chemistry back there. Because I think they have good players to bolster a strong defense, but I think it's going to take a little bit of time considering if you include a back 4 and the goalkeeper, 4 out of the 5 are new based on who I have starting for them. 4 out of the 5 are new players to the team. So it's probably going to take some time to figure out how to play with one another and figure out what's the right rotation to play with. And then obviously there are still like a couple question marks. That's why I dropped them down to 3 and didn't have them higher. The midfield definitely being one of them. They're thin. They're going to rely on Michael Bradley to be a starter. I don't think that's the end of the world, but they don't really have anybody to replace him or to like swap him out to give him like a minute's rest or whatever. So I think that there's a lot of talent here that will carry them um, in the attack. But I still think there are a few things to work out if they're going to challenge for Philly for like the top of the East.
So I agree with you that that attack is going to do great things. It's going to get them into the playoffs, no problem. But once again, I must remind you that they are planning on playing Michael Bradley for 3,000 minutes this season. They are planning on playing Jonathan Osorio and Mark Anthony Kaye for 3,000 minutes this season with no breaks, no rest, no nothing. That means for U.S. Open Cup. That means for Leagues Cup. That means every game they're going to play. These guys are going to hit 4,000, 4,500 minutes this year. The way that this team lines up. That's disgusting. By the
That's
time you
also
get
assuming they do nothing in the mid window.
correct, they're correct. They can still bring in people, but right, we're not making predictions off of what could happen, right? So right now, the way that we're making this prediction, this team is planning on playing all 40 whatever games that they're going to play this year with 4 midfielders, one of them being 35-year-old Victor Vasquez. It's just not a recipe for success. I agree. I think that their attack will save them and bring them wherever they. I think they will get into the playoffs, but this is going to be like a last day of the season sneak in on a decision day type of team. Now, come back to me in a month when the transfer window closes and they've got 3 or 4 more center mids as depth, and we'll talk about it. But right now, I can't put them.
I think that's a hot take to say that they're just going to sneak into the playoffs. You also have to remember that they have a tried and tested great coach on this team who got to build the team that he wanted. I think that's another factor that's going to help them a ton.
Here's the thing. If you're going to tell me that your tried and trusted experienced coach wants to build a team with 3 midfielders for 40 games, I think that coach is out of his mind. I don't care what his history is.
I would imagine they probably have something in the works to get somebody else to mix into the midfield. I
Again,
highly
I'm
doubt
not
that
making.
they're going to rock with these 4 for the whole season.
All I'm saying is I'm not making predictions based off of imagination. And lastly, you put Philly up top again. I just think it's time for somebody else to take over Philly. I think there's part of me that made this like out of spite. Like I'm just tired of them doing it. Um, I mean, listen, they've got all these players coming back, and they're going to be great. We know they will, but um, something about me is saying like, oh, um, Martinez is going to take a step down. Gazdag can't repeat that. There's something there that isn't going to happen again. Ali Bedoya regresses significantly. I don't know, but something there is not going to happen simply because I'm tired of watching Philly top the East every year.
Well, you're just going to have to get used to it. I don't know what to tell you. There was one team that challenged Philly last year in points, and that was Montreal, and they gutted their team. Philly
Yeah,
did
but
not
Red
lose.
Bull got better. Orlando got better.
And Philly
Nashville's
lost
back.
nobody, and they bolstered their depth. They brought in Andres Perea. They brought in Damian Lowe. They brought in Joaquin Torres.
I don't think Joaquin
And
Torres
we
is
already
going to
know
be a
that we
good
already
fit,
know their
though.
start. Well, yeah, I have no idea where he's going to fit, but he's a talented player, and if anybody can get something out of him, it's probably Jim Curtin. But starting 11 has not changed. This is a team that's gone. Are they back to back top of the East at this point?
No, New
I
England
think they
won in
are.
21.
Oh yeah. You're right. You're right. But they were second,
Yeah, like I said,
and in
I don't care if they
2020
finish
they
second or
were
third.
first.
Just go
They were
away.
first, second, first, and now having lost nobody, they're going to drop down to third
Just a reminder that Red
because
Bull
Red
used
Bull
to be
added
top of the East all the
Dante.
time. Red Bull
The
used to be
the
top
same
of the
Dante that you told me is coming halfway into in the season.
a third.
Okay, so you have to play a third of the season without
With,
your
with
new
Elias
star
Manuel, that's
striker.
not a bad drop off.
It's not. It's not. But is it
Anyways,
enough to dethrone Philly?
Yes, yes, it is. And it's because I believe. Yeah. I watched Ted Lasso this past week, like all the way through. If you believe, you can achieve. So
I
up
believe
the
you're
metric.
insane.